Hi everybody, my name is Stephen Danzak and I'm a Learning Skills Advisor from the Hargrave Andrew Library. I'm going to be the Learning Skills Advisor that will be in your CPD drop-in session and we can discuss how you go about answering some of the student futures responses in terms of your STAR response. I guess the first thing I want to say is that learning the STAR response and filling in this stuff for student futures ideally goes beyond just fulfilling a hurdle, and these are hopefully some things that you can draw on when you go for your job interviews or you're filling in your selection criteria for your various upcoming positions that you're hopefully going to go for and with some luck obtain. So let's just briefly go over the structure of a STAR response and how to sort of excel at it, and you'll be able to chat with me more when we meet face to face in the session. All right, so there will be some tips later. But firstly, the STAR, we have the situation. And so that is where were you working and or volunteering, and what was your job? So that could be like the organization, your group, like your football club or something like that. It could be a university club, and specifically your job. Then there is the task. So that's specifically in that instance. What did you, the organization, or your group need to achieve, or what challenge or problem did you face? The A is for actions, specifically referring to your actions, and that is what are the things that you did in that instance that led to some kind of change or engagement with the task. And then you want to present what the results are. Now these can be both qualitative and or quantitative. So for example, the traditional thing would be to say, my activity X led to a increase in Y number of sales, but it could be things that are a bit more qualitative, such as not impeding on other procedures going on within an organization, or making sure that an event ran to time. So next are the tips. The first one is use the word I. Now in the STEM disciplines, we train you out of using the word I in your academic writing and writing in the third person. But in this instance, the employer really wants to know what you did. These are the actions I took. These are the results I achieved. The next is to provide a specific example. Now, quite often, say in a part-time job or in a volunteer capacity, you might have something that occurs that you do every day, like it might be, say, organising the timesheets or managing a group of people. If you aren't specific, then it's hard for the person reading it or listening to you to understand what you're trying to, what you contributed. So the goal here is maybe think about either culminating those experiences into a specific one, or think about a specific time that it was particularly challenging to do that aspect of your job or your role. The next one is to draw on previous experience. Now, I can't stress this enough, not to say, oh, well, in this situation, I would do blah, blah, blah. The employer is not interested in what you might do in the future. The underlying principle of this approach is they base it on your previous behavior, and your previous actions are likely to be what you are going to do within their organization. And the final one is when you're actually constructing these responses, specifically for this student futures, you can start by saying, the situation was blah, 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 blah. The task at hand was blah, 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 blah. The actions were blah, 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 blah. And the results were blah, 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 blah. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through an example of how I would use the STAR response, say in response to the question, tell me about a time when you've had to resolve conflict. The situation was I was working for Orica Specialty Chemicals, and they had a production facility that had a throughput on a daily basis, but I worked in the research end in terms of innovation. The task was we needed to scale up a trial and needed to use some of the equipment that they had and borrow some of the operational staff, while at the same time not impeding on the procedural parts of the business. So the specific actions I took was I organised a meeting with the operations manager, the plant manager and myself, and we sat down and I arranged a timetable in which to minimise the crossover in terms of doing these trials and the actual production. And the results led to less than one conflict per week, and these trials going as smoothly as a trial possibly can, and proceeding on to the next stage of scale up. So hopefully that provides you with an example of how to go about using the STAR response. And if you have any questions or you want to tease out one of your own responses, please come see me at the CPD session. Thank you.